I'm back. We did a little chit chat last night. I did with a few people on this whole reclaim your securities thing, and a lot of people getting some comments and feedback, which is good. So that can help me out to how to present information. And but there's been this talk of this all capital letter name thing for a long time. The all capital letter name. It's more than just the all capital letter name. There's always a number attached to that, so the format's not really important. It's if there's a number attached to the name, that could be it could be upper lowercase. I've seen birth certificates with upper lowercase, proper noun names on them, but it's still tied to that registration number. So it's like I say, it's that clone image of your own name, of you. But anyhow, so I thought, well, so the topic of the meeting, basically, or part of it, and was to look at the reclaim your securities information from the legal name perspective. And so part of the call was on that, and that might help people actually, because if you're focused on that, you see the bigger picture, what we're really talking about here when we're talking reclaim your securities. And this information is golden, and quite frankly, it's pretty straightforward, I think. So what I've done here, it was about a 45-minute call, and I've done some editing and taken about 5 or 6 clips of that pertinent information regarding the legal name and how it fits into the reclaim your securities, or to fit that into perspective, so people can look at it from that viewpoint of the all cap name, rather than foundational security, so on and so forth. And although it's all connected without doubt. Sorry. So yeah, so I put a bunch of, they're just short. I didn't even check the timing on it. It's not very long. 10, 15 minutes of audio. There won't be any of me on there. You're just going to see the image in the background, but you can hear that, and it's going to be pretty cool. So anyhow, I'll stop this, and I'm going to do my editing now. God bless you. Love you. Thanks for putting up with me. Ciao. Oh, I will be back before the end of this. Anyhow, on another note, I was speaking with our oops. Guys, to hear me okay? I'm just getting a poor internet connection here. You still good?
Yep.
Hello? Are we still good?
Yes. Good.
Yeah, here. Good.
Okay, good.
Good to hear.
Okay, thank you. I was speaking with my Skype call group last night, and there's a woman there who, a friend of mine actually had indicated that she fired off a communication to a third-party claimant stating that she did not abandon the security. She just put this like in a letter, properly called a communication. So, and that was just on like I say, a private communication. I suggested to her that if she sent a copy of the lien verification statement, by doing that, you would be saying, no, I did not abandon the security. So, that just led to another whole train of thought there. And I thought, this would be good for talk about with you guys tonight. We went through this conversation last night. So she realized that, yeah, if you just send a copy of the lien verification, clearly that's saying, no, I didn't abandon the security, but it's doing far more than that. But that aside, now I'm asking you guys, why may you want to send a copy of the verification statement to let whoever know of your security interest? Keeping in mind that the act of registration itself is not notice, it's not public notice. This is from UCC Article 8 and Securities Transfer Act, PPSA. In Article 9, the act of registration of notice of your lien or your security interest itself is not public notice. So why might you want to send along a copy of the lien verification statement? You want to gender a guess?
So that other parties know that you have full lien interest in the security.
Or priority interest.
Yep, all good. That's not what I have in mind, but all correct.
I got one, because it's all a presumption, and that's what they do, is they presume that you abandoned.
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but you're probably very close there. Let me put it to this way. Are your words on paper and on your own handwritten letter binding on them? I'm putting this out.
No.
Exactly. They are not binding on them. So do we not register the lien so as to get it in the public venue so they can digest it, so they can see it? Is Article 9 or Personal Property Securities Act not binding on the Crown, not binding on the governments, whereas our words on paper are not? So you may want to think about that and think things through. And like I say, don't get stuck on my words here. I keep reiterating that. And people, like she admitted that she got focused on what I had said about saying, it starts with, no, I didn't abandon the security. Now, there's 1,000 ways to say that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 100 ways, maybe 20 ways. And I'm not going to sit down here and think what they all are and then go through every single solitary one of them. But the ultimate point here would be that the notice of the lien from the system, from the registrar, under UCC Article 9 or PPSA or whatever country you're in, that is binding on them. It's binding on the courts, binding on the government, binding on all the claimants. Anyone that's involved in commercial activity, banks, it's binding on them. Your words on paper are not. Very important, I think, and keep that in mind. And speaking of the verification statement, I don't know how they do it on the UCC, but here in Canada on the personal property securities legislation, it's all done online, so your signature is not really there. So on our lien verification statements that we receive back from the government, once the lien's been, the notice of lien security interest has been filed or registered, there's an area there that's says authorized signature. Now, if you have that in your UCC, I would highly recommend that you put your signature in that area. It says authorized signature. Remember, you're signing on behalf of the secure party here, which is true, just perfect. So it's just asking for the name and signature of the secure party. It gives it some various options here. Main thing is to get the signature on there. It may be a worthless piece of paper without, if you think about it.
Wouldn't the proxy be the one sending the lien verification?
Not necessarily, but you're just throwing it in the mail. I'm just saying here for the signature part, you're signing for the proxy, the secure party, and it depends on the circumstance, but yeah, for the most part, it would be your secure party, the communication. Correct. Okay, so that's all I had on that part there. Any questions on that little bit there? You kind of get that? It's their paperwork is binding on them. It's far more powerful to do that than to put words on paper. Basically, they are not binding on them. One other thing, something to think about here, and this might help people maybe grasp this better for any people that are still struggling a bit or got quandaries in the mind. And where I'm going here is there's lots of talk, has been for years, about this all capital letter name. So I thought, okay, let's look at the reclaiming securities things in terms of the all capital letter name. So I just kind of put some thoughts down on paper, and people fear the all capital letter name, the legal name, because they do not have control of it. Some claim trespass by government actors and others. Some claim we have to get rid of the name, to ditch it. Some claim it is the name of a corporation, yet in bankruptcy proceedings and notices of death, the name identifies an estate. All this legal mumbo jumbo people are subject to fines, government, corporate, and bank claims, charges, debt, bills, tax liabilities, alleged trespass, do this, do that, not like that, like this, and hinges on one thing. Anybody here have a guess what that one thing is? I prefer not a guess, like a knowingness, but we do not have control of the all cap name. Simple as that. The answer then is simple. Take control of the name. Now think about this. With all we've gone through in this reclaiming securities, they're coming after you. They're going through coming at us through the name. Let me share a little story here. This might drive the point home. Now, this guy didn't have any paperwork or anything like that, and I wasn't in court that day. This transpired in Ottawa court, but two of my friends were there. And when they called the case, and The doors to the courtroom flew open. The guy charges to the front of the courtroom, stands at the bar, the line there, and says, "What the F are you Fs doing with my effing name?" Judge says, "What do you want?" And we should all know when the judge says, "What do you want?" the ball's in your court. And long story short, they wanted the case done. So what was he doing there? What the F are you Fs doing with my effing name? Was he not making a claim? A stern, firm claim? When I'm saying F here, he wasn't using the F, he was using a full term. Emphasis. What the F are you Fs doing with my effing name? So yeah, we don't have control of the name. So as long as we don't have control of the name, so they can use the name against us, right? It looks like they're trespassing against us. Looks like they created this name and they use this name to come after us because everything they do is in this all capital letter names, and some it all seems to stick to me, but it's because we don't have control of it. They do. That's what this whole exercise is about, right? Taking control. But if we look at it from taking control of the name, okay, there you go. I took control of the name. Now, of course, to get control of the name, by taking control of it, the name, you take control of and over your life, your body, your freedom, your property, anything and everything that has that name on it or that might have that name on it, accounts, property, all of it, all of which constitutes your estate, public estate. So that's it. So, and again, we take control of that name by taking control of that foundational security. So we're talking the exact same thing. We're just looking at it now that it's an all capital letter name. And that foundational security is the source of that all capital letter name, right? The one that the mom was the grantor of, that she didn't provide any will, and we have yet to take control of. So basically, we haven't taken control of it, so the government has assumed control. I don't know how to break this down any simpler than that right there. Because, like I say, for me, this is the whole it in a nutshell. When you have this down, you can take everything else off the table. So you have this reclaim your securities down, take everything else off the table. All this common law stuff, blah, 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 blah. Just take control of the name. So take control of the foundation document, the foundation security, the registration of birth document. There, now you got control of the name. Now they can't come after you through the name. They can't use the name to come after you.
Actually, I have something, if I may, something that I have had on my mind that I would love to get some feedback on. Can anybody hear me?
You bet.
My name's Ryan. First, I was brought on by Adam, very gratefully. So, this is something I had been, scraping the pavement at for some time. I've gone through several different processes and just, there were delays in the process, and now I understand why. To get to this point, one of the things that I've been recently working on, it's funny, you're just talking about controlling the name. One of the things that I had been working through, I have my own little group, and, we do calls and just things like we're doing right now. Everybody's been working on the what is known as the adult name change process, where you change your name to what it's supposed to be in proper syntax, as it's supposed to be on, the original certificate of live birth. But more and more as I've studied, it seems like that's 3/4 of the way. And to me, 3/4 of the way is better than nothing, but it still ain't, you haven't, that's not the coup de grace, so to speak. So I just wanted to, just get some feedback and to see, I know it's important to correct the record, but sometimes correcting the record doesn't exactly, fix the pavement or the foundation. So is that a process that you would consider to be measurable? I mean, that it's worth any type of salt in any kind of way? Because I started to.
Well, just if I could interject you, I looked
Sure.
at that quite a number of years ago when it first came about. Went to I was already familiar with the Vital Statistics Act, but just had to make some looking at this. There is a provision in there to make corrections. But I look at it this way: I didn't provide the information, so who the heck am I to say there's something wrong there? That was Mom that did it, right?
Right.
And secondly, it's as I see it now, more so now than then. But I had a feeling back then. It's like it's why I shouldn't need to change anything here.
Right.
And so there's really no in other words, if we look at what was done there through the birth registration process was actually good, not meant to screw us. Just lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. And like I say, people, for example, not taking control of the name now, they've been attacked through the name all their lives. They see this all capital name, that's not me, blah, 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 blah. So now they want to disassociate themselves from it. And that's just adding more negativity, right? They want to change the system. You know, and all this kind of stuff, and this is wrong and that's wrong. Well, maybe the whole thing was done right. It's just our lack of knowledge and understanding, and ultimately not taking control, as I know it, the securities, starting with the foundational security. If we don't take control of that, we got nothing. I know that for a fact. That's without doubt. So the name thing, no, it's not meant that we're in there. It was never meant. It's like our mentor said, and there's no substance in the system. When they went off the gold, they took the substance out. We're dealing in securities. We're dealing in paper, like bookkeeping entries, pieces of paper. There's no substance. There is no man in there. So I don't care what the name is. It's just a mere image clone of me. But it's not me, and it's not meant to be me in there. It's this whole system is designed to keep man out, but man keeps wanting to try to fit himself in his way, instead of just taking control of the name that is meant to be in there, and keeps man out of it. What's wrong with that? That's so simple. If we just look at it, and we had a Skype call on this a couple of weeks ago, actually, and everybody agreed at the end of it, it was a very interesting call, and that was, what if it's our perception that's so whacked out that we see negativity where we should see good, we see bad where we see good? And we're kind of seeing that, you know, everyone's got their take on things, and I'm here to preach or say I'm right or they're wrong. It's like with what's going on in the world right now, there's a lot of people that are just, to me, are just totally mesmerized. They've been way over programmed. They don't see anything. They just, unless it came on the TV, if it's on the TV, it's true. And then there's other people looking at them going, what the heck are you talking about? This is nonsense. So it's all perception, right? In the eyes of the beholder thing. And, but what if? And so we had a really good conversation on that, and everybody had to agree, well, it could be that all of this was done actually for our good and benefit right from the get-go. So if that's the case, let's not change anything. Let's just take control.
It's just, having to go in and having to deal with that name, accommodating with that, when for the most part, we're not supposed to be, it's not our venue, it's not the venue of the real man to be in there to deal with that.
That's right. And so when man shows up there, he's not showing up as man, that's for sure.
Right. So to me, it's just like, of course, I understand where they're going with the name change process, to correct the record and everything, and nothing really happens with that name change process until you do a bill in equity, under protective order, which is, you're really, kind of changing the game right there. But it was just like, why am I going into court, and why am I having to testify and have to, basically appeal? This isn't me. It's not me. It is me. I was thinking, like, this is just, it seems like it's adding something to, it's just adding more difficulty for real. Now with this, or at least that I can see with this information, to getting to the root of where the issue is and correcting it there, instead of starting from the top of the tree and trying to fix the branches all the way down to the root.
Yeah, interesting choice of words, root of the issue.
Right.
When you're saying that, I'm thinking, the baby coming out of mom, and that statement of birth coming out of mom, and
Right.
Two babies being born, there only one's real, one's fiction, right? And yeah, you don't appear in court. That's why we do the through the mail special trust deposit, and you put that pretty much in any important communication, so they don't commingle it with that, especially when you've got financial stuff in there. You don't want them to commingle it, right? And put it in a general fund or a general account or anything like that.
Right.
And that in itself implies a trust situation, special deposit. It's not general deposit, right?
Right.
And we did some meetings on that too. That's powerful information. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed those little snippets. And quite frankly, that's about as simple as it's simple or as complicated as it gets, people. Seriously, there's no need to file paperwork after paperwork and follow up with this and follow up with that. Like a lot of people are, it's very paper intensive paperwork out there. And I don't know about you guys, but it's not my forte. I'm not really interested in that. And I understand why people do it. We've done it. We've had, 125 question lawyer letters way back 10, 15, 20 years ago. nonsense like that. So it's a very streamlined process. And again, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not trying to change the system here and say that they're doing something wrong, or we got to, you should be using common law here again. Man is judged by God. It's in the Bible. So why do people even want to go into a court common law or other a man's court common law or otherwise? If it's not God's law being carried out in there, what the heck would you want to be in there? And I don't know what people mean exactly by common law, and but if they mean God's law, well, then it's right in the Bible there. Where does it say, what page are you on? If there's a fella that said that using court once and he asked what page you're on. Brilliant. I thought. But that's the position, man. So I wouldn't be going in there. And it's like I said, this whole situation, as I see it, and many others see it, is this system was set up that man is to be the beneficiary. He was never meant to be in there as the citizen, as the slave, but we're beings of free will, so we have the choice. And so maybe God gave us a choice. What do you want to be with me, or citizen of my kingdom? A man of God, a child of God, or do you want to be in the man-made system over here as a citizen of Canada? Do you want to claim to be a Canadian? If you claim to be a Canadian, well, then you got to abide by the Canadian laws. That's the way it goes. And all the provincial laws. Over here, it's different. See, so whose will are you about? Whose will? So we doing God's will or our own will? And over here on the countryside, clearly that's the will of man. Because God already had his kingdom. He already got his government. It's all laid out in the Bible. That is the Constitution for men and women. And again, I'm not preaching to you. So don't take that personally. If you don't agree, fine. It's okay. Still love you. God bless. Like it or not. So anyhow, that where you just heard this clip here in this little part 9, to me breaks it down. It's exceedingly simple. And and like it says there in the one little clip there, we talk quite a bit more about that, but we don't go into court. Don't go into court. I learned a long time ago going into court's a waste of time. And I watch people trying to get in with the common law stuff and all this, and it's just a fight. No success yet, just a fight. And anyhow, enough on that nonsense. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's as simple as it gets. And hopefully you guys can see the sense of it, can feel the sense of it, can make the sense of it, and perhaps run with it, do something with it. On that note, I bid you adieu. Thanks for listening in. Thank you for putting up with me. And I'm done here. So good day. God bless.